Hey Gary.
Hey, Jenna.
Today I'm going to talk to you about our middle school data detectives Byte. Um, I mentioned this if anyone's watched the elementary data science or data detective one, it's a similar conversation. The middle school just goes like a little further into extensions of what you can do. But data science is a new up and coming field. It's been around for it's been around for a while, but it's been getting more and more popular in the last like 10, 15 years as computers and computer programs can handle more and more data. And so it's really exciting to bring it to the elementary and middle school levels because we really want students to not be fearful of large sets of data and manipulating and playing and analyzing them. So for middle school, we have understanding data science. So this is just like a really easy, we've got let's collect some data. They get to pick what it is, or you pick what it is. Hey, everybody look around the room and see how many informational posters I have, or how many books there are and what those books are of, or um, let's find things on a certain color or whatever. And so students are collecting that data. They can write those items down. They could be tallying them, just they can collect it in whatever way makes sense for them. So a lot of data science is realizing that people can look at the same set of information and pull different things from them. And so these two worksheets, this one of collecting the data and then the next one of presenting the data are very open-ended so that students can kind of use their own um, understanding and zeal while creating their understanding of the information in front of them. Um, and so that's why they're kind of just open-ended because students could make a Venn diagram, they could make a scatter plot, they could make um, a bar chart, whatever they want to do to be able to present what they are doing or how they're categorizing their data. So it's just like a fun little primer activity for students to like start playing with data. The second activity talks about structuring data. So this is a really fun activity by code.org. It's a little elementary, but it's a good precursor. And so I want to explain the activity that code.org does, show how in middle school you can spend maybe 15, 20 minutes on it, and then take it to the next level for middle schoolers. So it's about structuring data. And so there's this activity guide. It's these students want to have a pizza party in their class and they ask their classmates what kind of toppings they would like. Each person gets one vote. And this is the responses they get back. They get pepperoni, cheese, barbecue chicken, sausage, mushrooms. I will be absent, frown face, right? And so the students have to look at this data and do what's called cleanse or clean the data and get rid of the ones that don't make sense or use their human brain to fix those issue ones. So like anything is good. How do we handle that? Right. And so we talk to the students and we say, how would we change this answer or where would we place it on the pattern on the graph to the right? So like this one where it says no meat, please. If I voted for pepperoni, I get one vote for pepperoni. If Carrie, you put in no meat, please, how do we process that as a person? Do we put that person down for green peppers, mushrooms, pineapple, and cheese? Because then technically they get four votes, where I only got one for pepperoni. And so we have to think about what that means for us. And so it just really opens up a great conversation for students to start thinking about collecting and analyzing data themselves. So this is like a really good precursor assignment if you're doing like a science fair project or anything where the students might want to create their own survey. And it kind of shows them, right? It's why when us as adults, when we take surveys, like drop downs or radio buttons are very common because it cleans the data for the person collecting the data on the back end. So if I'm allowed to write what grade do I teach and I put sixth through eighth as a THRU, where Carrie, you might put 6-8, right? It creates a lot of headaches for people who are analyzing the data. And so this is a great precursor assignment to help students understand the second portion of this, I go into extensions where they're creating and developing their own class survey. And so this could be something of like, what's your favorite animal, and see what people type in versus when you give them a drop down of what's your favorite color and you give them 12 color options, where one option is that my favorite color is not listed or whatever, right? And so this is like a really great way to get students thinking about how the questions you ask can really inform the responses that you're getting and the data that you have to work with. Um, then the third activity is creating and interpreting graphs. So this is another code.org lesson. It's two lessons about data visualization, and they use this actual data visualizer. Um, like it's an actual it's a data application like on code.org's website where they get to manipulate data. And so there's slides that go with it, but then it talks about like this is like what the visualizer looks like, and it's kind of like if you're familiar with playing around with like Google Sheets where you
Mhm.
can filter and sort things. It's like that, except for it's more databasey without it being like Microsoft Access from the old days. And so they get to play around with it and see what kind of charts they can get by filtering out things or clumping things and that type of stuff. So the slides and the videos from code.org walk you as the educator through the activity, and then the students can kind of just see if there's any relationship in that they can find in the data. And then they have tons of different data sets that you can pick from to play around with. And so that's what that activity guide is making, so that starts out with a dog's data set, and then you get to pick whatever data set you want from that. So it's just a fun like next step in what you do with data and what data scientists do with data. Um, and so that again, that is code.org gives you cleansed data. So they're being nice and giving you a nice clean data set, and then you get to manipulate it and play with it
Mhm.
if you can find a relationship. Um, so that's fun. It's a very nice, like kid-friendly activity for data science and visualization, which is actually pretty hard to find out there.
Well, and just introducing the terminology in a not intimidating way, so students can have success and not be afraid of these words.
Exactly. And then we've got two more lessons. The next lesson talks about analyzing data and again, trying to find those trends. So everything is leaning and moving towards that. Um, and so there's an activity guide. So we start off by going around and polling our classmates and asking them, hey, Carrie, between a cat, a dog, a bird, and a snake, what is your favorite animal? You give it to me, and then I say, okay, great. Between camping, art, video games, and music, what's your favorite activity to do on the weekend? And you give it to me, and then I will tally what you say on whatever point matches. So let's say you say cat and art, I would put a tally right there at that intersection between them. I make sure I talk to all my classmates, and then we see if there is any interesting relationships we can find. So maybe we find out that in the class, most all of us like dogs and video games the most, right? Let's say we have a class of 23 kids and 17 of them say dogs and video games. Like that's a pretty high relationship, right? And so we can talk about if we find trends or relationships. And so it just shows, it has students again thinking about one of the cool things about data science is you can have 10 different people look at the same set of data and come up with 10 different conclusions or ideas. And so this is really forcing that conversation to happen for students. Um, and then the last activity is actually probably my favorite, but it's like the culmination of everything. So you come up with this idea, you analyze the data, you see like what you can learn from this set, and then you create an infographic from it. And so there's two sources. It's Bootstrap, and then uh, this teacher created this. It's an infographic project. She did a really great job putting it all together. So it talks about what infographics are, the different parts of infographics.
Oh, I
You
love Pictochart.
Yeah, PictoChart is like a really great, easy
Mhm.
website to manipulate and use. If your students aren't like familiar, Canva is also great. Um, and then it includes like a how to create an infographic as well as the assignment where you can have the students like walk through what's expected of them. And then she also includes a rubric, which is really nice and helpful and friendly. Um, yeah, so anyhow, it's really great. And then within the bite itself, I give you some other examples of
Mhm.
infographics that the students can do. So you can either have them use the data sets from activity 3 if you want to have them make an infographic on that. There's tons of data sets available that are cleansed and like student data sets that I link to in the bite that they can just have random. You can have them create their own surveys and create an infographic from that. You could do it based on some topic or subject you're doing in the classroom. It's really the world is your oyster with data. We just need to figure out what data the students are interested in and then help them come up with an infographic. Um, on that information. So yeah, anyhow, data science is a really cool, interesting thing, which is great for students who like the math and arts, but aren't necessarily like computer programmers and don't like the
Mhm.
programming aspect. So anyhow, it's a really fun new type of bite to give students and their teachers access to something that's just fun and tangentially different than the programming aspect in computer science.
Thanks, Jenna. I really like it.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll see you next time.
All right, bye.
Bye.